I guarantee that if you apply everything I mentioned in this video, your daily Scrum, daily stand-up will be effective and productive. These are not the common tips that you've heard thousands of times. We are doing something different here. And let's start with the latest version of the Scrum Guide. Let's see what's in the latest version of the Scrum Guide concerning the daily Scrum. The purpose of a daily Scrum is to inspect progress towards the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog as necessary, adjusting the upcoming planned work. For me, it's pretty clear. And the first thing you need to do, where most people go wrong, is go back to this definition. As a Scrum Master, an Agile coach, a member of a Scrum team, go back to your team, read this definition together. Maybe you can use a session like the sprint retrospective or schedule another session. It needs to be a workshop. Everyone needs to be focused in this session, and the goal of a session is to ensure that the Scrum, daily stand-up is effective, is productive. There's opportunities to improve, I'm sure about that. And our goal for this session, this workshop, is to ensure that we work together, put our minds together, to ensure that we have an effective and productive daily Scrum. You read this definition together. And the question that you need to ask with regards to this definition is, are we 100% sure that we agree with this definition? Is this the purpose of a daily Scrum? Is this what we want to achieve? Have a debate around that. And don't skip this part. Everyone in the room needs to be 100% convinced that this will lead, following this definition, the purpose of a daily Scrum will lead to an effective and productive daily Scrum. And second, that's our goal. We're working towards that. If this is not true, you have a problem. And I've seen that countless times. Yes, people are doing the daily Scrum. Yeah, they are doing the daily stand-up. But they never agreed on why we are doing it. They never agreed on the purpose. That's why you need to start with that. Don't skip this part. You will be tempted to skip this part. Everyone knows that. No. Go back to this part. Go back to the Scrum Guide. Read the definition together. Each section of the definition. The purpose of a daily Scrum is to inspect progress towards the sprint goal, adjust the sprint backlog. Do we agree about that? If people don't agree in the room, try to convince them as a Scrum Master, an Agile coach. Make other people in the room who agree with this definition, try to convince them. Everyone needs to be agreeable and everyone needs to be motivated to go in this direction. That's the purpose of a daily Scrum. Once you have full consensus, agreement, the next step is to break down again this purpose and have a workshop with all the team members. Every single one of these team members needs to give their input about that. The goal of this workshop is to list down all the things, all the opportunities to improve that will bring us there. Maybe you don't even have a sprint goal, a sprint backlog. You have a sprint backlog. Everyone has the same definition of a sprint goal, what we mean by sprint goal. Everyone has the same definition of what we mean by a sprint backlog. If you have a sprint goal, you have a sprint backlog, then you can focus on other things. Are we inspecting progress towards the sprint goal during the daily Scrum? Are we doing that? Are we doing that in the 15 minutes we have to do the daily Scrum? Are we currently doing that? I extracted the purpose of a daily Scrum, but I suggest that you go back to the latest version of the Scrum Guide and extract the whole part. There's a few sentences around the daily Scrum. Read that together with the team. Are we doing that? If not, why? What can we change in the current daily Scrum to move towards that? There's a high chance that you're not inspecting progress towards the sprint goal. Or your sprint goal, the way you defined it, is not even effective. Your sprint goal can't be finish all the user stories in the sprint. If you want to know what the sprint goal is, watch this video right here. How to write the perfect sprint goal, watch this video. Once you're done with the sprint goal, go back to the sprint backlog. Do we have a sprint backlog? Are we using the daily Scrum to adjust the sprint backlog when required? And if required, what does adjusting the sprint backlog mean? What's the impact on the rest of the sprint? What's the impact of stakeholders? What's the impact of customers? Are we even in an environment where we can adjust that? Let me give you a quick example. If you are in an environment where you have committed dates, in 3 months, we need to deliver. By this date, we need to deliver something, a fixed scope, a fixed budget. We need to deliver that in 3 months. in this sprint right now. I can't really adjust the sprint backlog with new things coming, or maybe new ideas, new information that we believe will help the customer. No, I can't do that, because if I do that, I will increase the scope and might affect the delivery date. So really the goal of the organization is not maximizing value to the customer, is meeting the date. So there might be problems affecting your daily scrum, affecting your scrum team, affecting your sprint goal, affecting your sprint backlog, that have nothing to do with scrum itself. That have nothing to do with daily scrum, the daily stand-up, but have everything to do with the way the organization works. The priorities of the organization. The priorities of the organization is meeting dates, unrealistic deadlines, planning, rigid planning, and not responding to change. Welcoming change, maximizing value that we deliver to the customer. You have a problem. Fix that first before fixing your daily scrum. It's useless. Why would you even start fixing your daily scrum if you're in an environment where there's constant pressure to meet another goal? Doesn't make sense. And that's a mistake that I see so many people doing. Once you've already talked about the sprint goal, the sprint backlog, what other things can we change in the daily scrum, the daily stand-up to make it even more effective while still trying to meet this purpose defined in the latest version of a Scrum guide and keeping it in 15 minutes. Maybe when someone is going off track, there's a line. The sprint goal, the sprint backlog is in the line. When someone is going off track, you're deep diving into an issue. Someone can just say, okay, let's take this after the meeting, after the stand-up. Let's go back to the line, talking about the progress towards the sprint goal and the sprint backlog if required. Let's focus on that. It's a daily planning session to inspect progress towards the sprint goal and make necessary changes if required. That's the goal. Always keep that in your mind. If you're talking about something that has nothing to do, which is not on the line, kick that out. All the team members need to be in a comfortable environment where they can speak up and say, no, there's something wrong going on here. That's how you have an effective daily scrum. There's so many ways to do that. I suggest watching this video right here for some additional tips that you can actually implement. In this video, I gave you a framework. It can be applicable to any team, step by step. You do the workshop, you go through the Scrum guide, you do the workshop, you ask powerful questions, you gather all feedback. This same formula can be applied to any team. Now, if you want some additional tips, general tips, that will help you, give you ideas on how to have an effective daily Scrum. An example is instead of asking the 3 questions and managing people, you can manage the work and go walk the board. Physical board or digital board. That's one of the tips that you see in this video right here. And if you want more tips, insights on Agile Scrum, personal growth, click on the video that stands out the most on the screen right now. And I'll see you in a few seconds.